And welcome back to the next morning, because fuck, my voice did... I like this game, but man, doing all the fucking voices all the time really does fucking add up. Especially when you have these elaborate, well, these voices that are just like, sort of like, on the vocal cords and stuff like that. Which is fine, but like, I can't record more than like, maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 hours if it's a particularly, nice recording session of content. Well, quite the starting revelation, I must say. Never thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that. Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, you, Mr. Soseki Natsumi, is the only person who possibly have committed this crime. Okay, well, we still established that the knife could have came from the household.
Objection!
No, I disagree. I should have just ended it there. I disagree. Silence. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of the possibility already. Lord Van Zeeks, is this true? Very well. Name the person if you will, and a further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. Oh, you're not going on about waste of time anymore, are you? Hahaha. I mean, there's not many choices.
Take that!
It's her or her husband, right? The defense would once again like to request a cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again, my assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case, it's imperative that we cross-examine... Oh my goodness. Obviously, I'm really good at talking. It's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garadab. Me? Oh, dear me.
Objection!
That request has already been denied.
Objection!
But the situation is very different now. Yeah, it was denied under a different circumstance of... Like, literally, it was denied under the circumstances of, hey, this other witness will, like, clear up the need for this. And he was like, okay, we're not gonna do this other thing. Let's just focus on this witness for now. And no, it only made it more apparent that it was necessary. Scared him. Answer me this. What do you want now, you little toad? At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garadem. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road. Well, what of it? You threw the smoke at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open top hinge casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, and I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garadam. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before? I don't recall. I have no... Did they have a law against self-incrimination in this, in Britain period, I guess, let alone in this time period? What? The Magna Carta was, like, before the 1800s, right? I think that's like a... That's like a very Oh, I'm trying to remember if that's like the Bill of Rights equivalent for Britain, or if it's like something else on top of that that also makes sense. Seriously. Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? And anyway, the man over there in all that regalia said the members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he? Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all, juror number 4. Actually, I don't remember him saying that in any... I don't remember him saying... is he actually going to care about the truth of the matter? After all that posturing and bullshit about wasting our time, blah, 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 blah. Is he actually going to get the redemption arc of a... Is he going to get a redemption arc and be less racist? I wonder. But yeah, I think he only really technically said that her testimony wasn't needed on the basis of we have this other witness, right? Oh? Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know? I mean, you're the maid, right? What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying? Please, Mrs. Garridem. Hey, listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it. You were fucking throwing knives at people. Oh, the poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. Oh, you're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife, if that's what you think. Come along now. Chop, chop. Do your worst. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, fuck. Do we actually have anything that's, like, explicit evidence of this? I guess it was already in the victim's hands? I'm not sure what other detail could possibly link, like, strong evidence. If I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Yeah. Then take the stand, juror. Oh. The prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks. I'm going to have to testify. Juror number 4, as I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today. Witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware of. Oh, dearie me. Oh. Yeah, I'm guessing she hasn't properly thought it through in the first place, and she just doesn't want to think it through, right? Accident, what it is, it's still a crime to, like, be in this reckless situation and cause someone to get injured, right? So to demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garrideb. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Oh, I like this, Judge. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. Wow, everyone's like, yeah, let's get down to the fucking truth of the matter. I like it. No, that's fun. It's such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here, in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. Witness, your name and occupation. Oh, yes, my name is Joan Garridem, and I'm a juror and such like. Oh, she's just avoiding that fucking topic now. Sounds like she doesn't even know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore. Court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh, dearie me. Yeah, I think she has been desperately not trying to think about the, like, I think maybe she didn't even consider that it caused the problem. Or maybe she saw that a knife was missing and she's like, what happened to that knife? And she just tried not to think about it. And now she's really being confronted with it. Chin up, Joni. Nothing to worry about now. I assume that's... Yep. Oh, I didn't know you were here, John. No, yeah, that is nice of him. Good play, old gent. Good play. Oh, fuck. What voice did I give to him? Wasn't only you in that day old thing, was it? Rather think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your needs here? Oh, don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinarian in an action alone. Yes. Oh, John. Oh, don't tell me they're going to be the Rolly and fucking... Oh, Rolly. Oh, Pat. Oh, my God. I presume you are Mr. John Garridem. How the fuck did you get past security? Yeah, we have another basically soldier. Yes, sir. Former Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Number... Northumberland. Fusileers. Seen my fair share of action and now living the quiet life, as it were. Quiet life? Will you not engage in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Ah, well, quite. I believe this may represent the first in the broad history of the British courts. Calling a juror as a witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once. Okay. It is funny. Versus last time where it's like fucking everyone seemed like they might have like ill intent towards everyone else. This time it's like, it feels like no one did anything purposefully. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out, though, out the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Ah, plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I noticed that 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. But that Bali thing in the victim's back was really one of ours. You have a job proving it, I think. Oh, that's it? Fuck, you're not giving me much to work with. It's not much of a testimony when most of it's just like, fuck, I don't know if it's the case or not. Sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. A warm and entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us up, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield, you'll just not whisper of death at any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Well, I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This may be a dead end. Menteeks may well be right. Especially if they didn't intentionally do it. Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, I'm afraid so. Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination. Okay, let's do this. One final time. The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe. Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Garrideb. A rather passionate note, in fact. But Mrs. Garrideb found the note, discovering her husband's little secret. And she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too. What a sordid state of affairs. Hell on earth. I say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's a common decency not to drag it up. But it's fucking court, we don't really... If you're gonna avoid the fucking details... And besides... Everyone went wide of the mark anyway. Likely story? Oh boy. These waters want to run very, very deep. Yeah. What transpired next after these multiple blows to the face? So by this nature, we're saying that the knife had to have come after the books. And she said something about that book being the first thing she grabbed, so that would have been... Like, that's actually... Like, I was just remembering that specific detail wrong. Did she throw other things before she threw that fucking book? Maybe, I mean, she also seems to not have a great memory of what she fucking threw, so the idea that she'd be testifying that that was the first thing she threw back then probably isn't a reliable detail either, based on how things have developed. The fire also spread to some items of furniture, didn't it? Oh, the bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine, really. Just so happens there was some bath water around the evening, so I sloshed that about to put it out. Most precarious situation you put yourself in. Oh, this is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the streets, where the water main isn't connected yet. No fun. I have to draw water from a public water pump during the day if you need any, you see. The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Oh, although, the little mustache-sharpening man buys water in bottles, I believe. Oh, how very, very uncivilized of him. The defendant, Mr. Natsumi, you mean? Oh, yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine? Being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours. Oh, it's very obviously... He's obviously very well off. Have you actually seen the state of that man? I believe he uses all his income to buy books. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. He is studying English. Anyway, the point is I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough. Alright, so if I was to try to put together the sequence of events, giving the layout of their room, if you remember the layout of their room, their bookcase was actually fairly near to the actual, like, window, right? So I would assume that her initial onslaught of throwing incendiary books wasn't in the direction of the window, and he ran over towards the window, and she probably spun around the room herself. She probably spun around the room herself in order to grab other things to throw once it went beyond the books, because given the location that she was throwing stuff in order for anything to come out of the window, she probably wasn't primarily throwing books at that point. She probably just had that book still in her hand. Because think about the angle you need to throw it at in order for it to hit the window stuff and fall. I guess with the casement thing on the window, you could probably throw from more angles so long as you hit that open area, then it would have fell in a similar way. But I do feel as though if you were standing at the bookshelf itself, you probably wouldn't have had the ability to hit that as well. So she would have had to have moved at some point during this, right?
Hold it!
Which means she would have had access to other stuff. Even though the room was on fire, as far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When one wants to throw, she must throw. This is most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo. I would totally not do one if the room was on fire. Afterwards, though, definitely. What? How did she know I was thinking that? So please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day? In all honesty, I don't recall. I think, like, even if she could recall, she'd be so opposed to, like, seriously considering it that it would be very difficult for her to, you know, admit it. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge. A napkin. Ooh.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, sir? I assume those were items that she threw. Mr. Garrideb.
Don't shoot.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. Did your wife's remarks now just bring something to mind?
Oh, nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles the other thing launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, the fire poker, I seem to recall.
Ouch.
And the woman's aim is uncanny. She landed directly, even with... Good grief, woman, we're not at home now. This is a court of law.
That's a fucking pipe. Oh, dearie me. I'm so sorry, dear. What is she even doing with the teapot in here? How is she warming it up? Would she, like, have a fire going on here somewhere? Honestly, John, I never would have thrown such things at you, obviously.
Well, take a good look at this then. How do you suppose that happened? Your pipe, sir. I had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two.
Oh, I see that now.
I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage.
I see. Your pipe was broken.
It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I managed to bandage the thing up for now.
Ah, you all want to exaggerate, aren't you, dear? I wonder what we should make of this account. Everything's important. The defense believes Mr. Garrideb's remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection!
This wall of evidence words only tell us one thing. Betray of hiring wife and pipes, as well as hearts, may be broken. Sentiment, wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense, one might say. Might one? In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipes, sir?
Well, I don't see why not.
Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. Oh, my fucking goodness. Very well, the court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. Oh, I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. No, that was a good follow-up to me getting denied ruthlessly. Okay, can we examine it? Yeah. There's a crack. There's a small nick out of the bowl here. Look, it appears to have been made relatively recently, which implies something sharp, doesn't it? And see how there are little scrapes and dents all over? It's clearly a well-loved pipe. Yes, you're right. It seems to me recently that being well-loved does go hand-in-hand with, getting some battle scars. This particular nick is catching my eye, though. This is clearly new. Oh, okay. I don't know how you've determined it's clearly new, but okay. It looks to be in a sorry state with that bandage around it, doesn't it? But for some reason, it feels slightly ominous to me. Like it's trying to shout out a warning. Probably because it's the same blue as Mr. Garrideb's dressing gown. Oh, I thought he was... I suppose it must have considerable sentimental value to Mr. Garrideb, given that he's gone to the trouble of repairing it like this. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Either that, or he can't afford to replace it. Everyone's fucking poor. That's the lesson of this. Everyone's, like, fucking at their, like, wit's end being poor. There is a fair argument that, in the past, like, speaking from a very American perspective, in the past, what would this be, 150 years now? From whenever this took place? In that time frame, you definitely had a lot more of a raising of the standard, the bottom level of standard of living, right? All that shit's been brought up. You still have shit going on where, like, that standard of living going up also means that the standards for, like, not needing to work, like, fucking constantly, like a fucking walk 20 miles a day, that sort of thing, has not necessarily become that much better. And it sort of, like, swings back and forth between how bad the general, like, working conditions are and, like, what you need to do to get by. But it definitely, it is interesting how much of that may be because of that element of it. Where, like, a pipe is a much more, high, like, low-cost manufacturer thing. You could potentially get another one. When back here, it probably was a lot more expensive to get one. I mean, that sort of thing. Things are just simply more accessible at a base level, right? Not that there aren't fancy pipes that are made, like, well, like, probably like that one was. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down. Oh, no, it's fine. Thanks to Sada-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully.
Oh, thank you for that. Rebuttal, Mr. Garden. Now, if we could return to the crux of the matter. What can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim?
Sorry? Would you care to elaborate?
Nothing to say, really. Got a boss or two spots of carving, you see. Pipes and whatnot, fish and tackle, you know, that sort of thing.
Oh, so he didn't buy a new one. He probably carved it in the first place. Okay. That's, probably irrelevant. Fishing tackles. It's a passion we both share. I like to carve little wooden trinkets, too. And then there's my leather work.
Sorry to say, we're always losing knives about the place. We have a dozen of the things.
Oh, they sell them at the market sometimes. 20 for the price of 19. Needless to say, I snap them up.
What?
John prefers to use 2 knives at mealtime too, instead of a knife and a fork.
Now, Joan, we don't want people thinking I'm some kind of...
Here we go again with the scoldings. Why are they being so evasive? It does seem like she's trying to hide stuff whenever she does that. I imagine because they don't want to believe it. They can't bear the thought that it might have been one of their knives that injured the victim. Which is entirely understandable, of course. But still. You know what? I said before, like, why does Sherlock Holmes have so many fucking knives that to just stab shit with for his notes? And it's like, fuck, if they sell them fucking, like, 19 to the 20.
Go on with your testimony, witnesses. Sir.
Okay, that was it.
Hold it!
Give me an idea of precisely what I need to. I don't want to. I mean, I could present it and just be wrong, but so you have no intention admitting it was your knife unless we can produce proof. Even though there's no other credible possibility if Mr. Natsume is innocent.
Objection!
You forget, my Nibanese friend.
That is yet to be established, but the accused is not responsible for the attack. As if I could forget. Maybe there's some way to know who had handled the knife. But I suppose wizardry like that is just a dream. Okay. Perhaps you're thinking of fingerprinting, Mr. Naruhodo. What? You mean it's not a dream? That sort of wizardry really exists? Whenever people touch anything, they leave behind a unique pattern from their skin, or so they say. But I can't see anything. There are already countries in the world where the so-called fingerprints can be used as evidence. Lord Strongheart is currently discussing the matter at the Ministry of Justice.
Yes, I believe we are rapidly approaching an era of scientific methods of investigation.
But for now, we should have to find an alternative method of proving our assertion. That is, the knife found in the victim's back was originally in Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb's house. If only I could transplant this whole incident several years into the future. They are pointing out it a bunch. Oh wait, why did only one little part of it have a... Oh! Oh. Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo. Just at the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. You're right. Well spotted, Mrs. Sato. Oh, fuck. I should have caught this before. What could have happened? Yes. You don't think. It could still be lodged in the victim, do you? Oh dear, I do not hope. That sounds terribly painful. Could be. I mean, if it was going to stab the victim, it would be very hard to stab the victim without the tip to create that initial, especially if it's like literally just, yeah, a dull flat end. You would have bounced off the, you would have probably bounced off them instead of stabbing into it. Oh, that just, oh really, that's it? Okay. Sent to their testimony. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I think we've heard all this before, to be honest. I can't say I'm particularly confident that we'll be able to prove anything new from this testimony. But cross-examination is absolutely essential. That we establish how this knife came to be at the scene of the incident. Yes, I know. I'm sure both of them must be feeling very worried. Worried that it was, in fact, the knife belonging to one of them that caused the victim's injury. We could find even a tiny shred of evidence to support that theory. It would clinch this trial for us. It would explain everything. Yes, it would. What do we have left, then? Okay, like, why didn't it talk about the bandage before when I... Oh, no, it's still this... Okay. Wait, what?
What?
What? What the f... What? 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 Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there. That is... What? How did... What? How... What? Oh, for fuck's sake. Something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there. Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think. Let's turn over and give it a shake. What's this? It's a tiny fragment of metal. Looks like the tip of a blade or something. Tip of a blade. Surely it couldn't be. Well, that's convenient as fuck. How did that end up there and not ever fucking fall out? He's been using it. Has he actually been even using this? How has he not noticed? What the actual fucking fuck? Okay, that was a fucking accident that I came across that. I really did not... I was... Fuck. I was just trying to look for different angles to, like, get the fucking bandage thing to work, because I apparently didn't read the first line of the first time it went through, and they were talking about the balloon. I thought they were just talking about the pipe in general. This tiny piece of metal we found in the chamber of Scaredab's pipe. It looks like the tip of a blade or something. The tip of a blade. Fucking hell. Something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? I don't really know. It's just something niggling me. Niggling me. I can't quite put my finger on what it is that's niggling you, tickling you, or... I'd never heard niggling before. It'd be wise to examine the, some other piece of evidence again. Oh, okay. Well, if it's directly telling me to see if I can put one and one together. You remember this? That's a tiny fragment of metal that we found inside Mr. Garedev's pipe. Yes, and just maybe. Oh my, it's a perfect fit. Somehow, I just knew it. Oh, that is actually sort of bullshitty. like, there's some, like, nonsensical things in some of the evidence and how things turn out in this, but the fucking tip broke off and fell in his pipe that he never noticed until we specifically looked at it. Yeah, that's about my feeling on that matter. Yeah. Also the fact, how did it fucking stab someone when it didn't even have its tip? It's stabbing, not slicing at that point. Like, it's literally just a fucking... I don't know. I don't know anymore. But the only thing I can think of is that we've established this, so...
Objection!
Mr. Garridem, can I ask you to take a good look at this, please?
You can ask, but I can't see a bully thing.
You can't?
You used to call me Dead-Eyed Dan back in the regiment, of course. But that was some time ago. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a lot print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a T and a B from a Q, to be honest.
Oh, he does. Dearie me, it's rather wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word. You must be very dizzy, does he? Busy, does he? That joke did not land. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal. Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garrideb's pipe.
My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how it got there. What precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel?
Are you suggesting that it in some ways relates to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? I am. What? When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. I just noticed the box. You appear rather confident in this extraordinary statement, counsel. Very well then, present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case?
Take that!
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. It's also still very weird that it doesn't have a tip to actually stab something. But okay. Like, I get if it, like, chipped off, like... So it would make way more sense to me if it, like, chipped off not at the tip, but at, like, on the cutting edge, right? Especially since, based on the cut in the pipe, it would make way more sense for it to have chipped off at one of those places and fell into there, rather than being the tip, which was needed to stab the person, even if it wasn't stabbed by someone. Like, to actually just, like, cut in and make that initial cut. You wouldn't fucking... I don't know. This whole development is not my favorite in this game. You see, there's a small tip of the blade missing. A common... Well, a small tip, it was fucking sort of huge. A common issue with inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals use them regularly, have the tips lodged in their victims' bones.
What of this particular knife?
No doubt its tint suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection!
No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garrideb's pipe.
It's grief. Lord Van Zees.
I don't believe it. Knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal. A perfect match. Which...
Golly gosh! Order! Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery?
This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle.
A miracle?
So Van Zees has figured it out, has he?
Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once.
Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is, when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garrideb's pipe? Something that was clarified for us the moment in the most recent witness testimony. Using my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles she did. Never been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Okay, he's realizing what just fucking flew by his head to the point that it broke it. Oh, did he break it? Look at his hand. Look at where the pipe is. I think he broke the pipe again. Oh, dearie me. During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Garrett flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garrett, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off. Of course.
Lord.
Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe.
Chances of that are millions of one.
And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. Ugh. In short, the knife, which fell from the window to the window of the Garrett's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below. Oh gosh, oh no! No! I mean...
Objection!
Okay, what have you got? What are you objecting to? A full-bodied theory. I will give you that. A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friends. Characteristically, Nipponi's approach to bottling his argument. Sorry? But after all, it is just a theory. The bottle I fear is corked. Because you see, it's spoiled by an insurmountable inconsistency. Oh my goodness, if he points out the tip, I'm gonna feel so fucking satisfied. An insurmountable... What?
Lord Van Ziggs, explain yourself. What is the inconsistency you have claimed to identify?
An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with the knife planted in the middle of her back. You mean the falling down and hitting her in the back? Oh, because she was picking up the book. But there wasn't... If they don't point out the fucking tip, I'm gonna be so sort of mad at this case. Ah. That's right, you silly little man.
Oh, Joe, no thing. What are you getting so excited about?
Let's consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. The knife that struck her had fallen from above. There's no possibility it could have planted herself into the victim. There's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back. Yeah.
Order, order!
Quite right, you see, that's exactly right. If the knife had fallen from on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head. Yes, that's so much better than the... He's lost for words, look! Oh, I knew it. I never liked his theory in the first place.
I don't know that. What really did happen?
It would appear that Vince has made a rather spectacular blunder. If the theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. You're so close. I could see the truth. I mean, it's not that difficult to... She leaned over and picked up the book, right? Like, we literally have the detail that it was in her hand, right? I'm so sure we were on the right track. But now the way has been blocked completely. Just one simple inconsistency. Or in other words... we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency, and the theory will stand. Mrs. Otto. You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all. And your mind went blank. But if the path you were on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there.
You have nothing to say, my beneath friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. The tacit acceptance of your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
This inconsistency doesn't mean I wasn't on the right track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test. Yes. If the knife fell into the victim from above, there's no way it could have hit her in the middle of the back. Under normal circumstances, that is.
What are you implying? Counsel?
There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. It can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer.
Oh, goodness. It's a madness. Surely this must be the last time. Counsel,
Present the evidence of which you speak. This is the last inconsistency. Final piece of the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is... It has to be the book, right?
Take that!
I don't even feel like I need to save. This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present.
the Burns book.
Is that not Mr. Gerdeb's book? Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. As we all know, it was the policeman constable that put the book between her fingers like that.
Quite so. It's part of his wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road.
That's true. However, as part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement on the point. Yep. Because that's how he found it. When we first ran over, was already holding some everything. I made sure it was still in her hand. In other words, the victim had already picked up the book of her own volition. And clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound.
Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she had been doing much of anything.
So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand?
Why did you go? I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now.
Oh, it's staring me. You know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garrett household onto the pavement below. At precisely that moment that the victim was walking past. Yes, at exactly that moment, the young woman was walking along the street in the light fog. And all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her. The book I threw? Yes, Mrs. Garrett. What do you think the woman did? What would you do if you're walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement? Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up. Yes, that is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book. Oh heavens! And when the woman reached down to pick up the fallen book, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, the next object fell from the room above, the jackknife straight into the middle of her back. without a tip to actually do the stabbing, but okay. I'm not gonna let this go. And at the same time, walking by the chance directly behind Miss Green was the defendant, Mr. Sasaki Natsumi.
Well, I never.
It appeared to Mr. Natsumi that the woman simply collapsed onto the floor, and in the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling from her on her from above.
From the other direction.
The constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker.
So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place.
No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garadem, I still say, like, that is, like, neglect, like, there are laws, at least in the U.S. and whatnot, that make, even if it's an accident, if you're doing something fucking reckless and dangerous, it still makes you, like, at fault, right? But, I don't know, knowing this series, I would say that they'll probably end up, like, getting away with that without actually having any well, in the same way the copper who tampered, like, they actively went out of their way to give him a, like, he doesn't actually get disciplined for it. The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. Wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that.
That old bean.
Oh, poor Mrs. Garadem. She's going to get executed for this. I don't know, they might. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book, and I threw the knife as well. John, dear.
It's all right. I know.
I'm ever so sorry. Truly. I'm so... Actually, how am I even... I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, that feels about right. Hero, catch that. Oh no. Okay, that's not gonna. What? His knee is about to. Oh my goodness, is fucking. I never saw the back of him before. It's actually sort of fantastic.
Lord Van Zeeks, what news of Mrs. Garadem? She's been taken to the infirmary.
It would appear that today's events have left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern.
Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could have easily been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions.
There is some good news, however, my lord. I have just heard word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will gain consciousness soon. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her. How wonderful! The woman is out of danger, it seems. Yes, unless she has hospital bills. Yes, that is good news.
So, Mr. Sasaki Natsumi.
Yes?
On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with an immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it's me who should be begging your pardon.
No, don't fucking admit to the crime now. Do not admit to the crime now. Oh no, Mr. Natsume.
That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again, in my confusion.
What conclusion, sir?
Oh, I was sure that the woman was dead.
Yes, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought that she had been killed too. I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless.
Oh, it's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me.
Poor Sasaki-san. His imagination really has gotten the better of him. Yes, poor man.
So when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have gone for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two great empires. And for that, I am truly sorry.
I mean, that is a very humble way to approach the situation.
One could indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit had been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We are befooled by this spirit and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Van Zeeks and our young lawyer here from the East.
Well, thanks to him, for sure, definitely. Thanks to Lord Van Zeeks, he did so much.
The chain has now been broken, and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both.
Oh,
Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decisions regarding the defendant's culpability.
I swear to fucking goodness if they go guilty out of fucking spite. Are you ready? One of them goes fucking guilty out of spite, like, I fucking need to get out of here now. Let's just do this now. Are you ready to present your findings? Oh, the one who isn't listening, number 6.
As this foreman of the jury, I can assure you we reach a fair and just conclusion.
Oh, I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, for that's for sure.
Sitting where the old bean while she's out of action, you know. But I know what her decision would be. Does this mean we'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Yeah, it's about time.
I'm sorry I kept you like the week I spent recording this.
I'll say, I'll have a cork of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Very well. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decisions. Mr. Foreman.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Very well. Mrs. Sasaki Natsume, I hereby pronounce you.
Oh, confetti!
And finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes, Lord, sir. You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me. Oh yes, sir. Of course. All my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again.
He's totally gonna be like the Maya of this game that's constantly getting in the situation where he's the one being blamed for a murder.
Transported to tears. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned.
Oh, he is so fucking gonna be the fucking accused again in one of these two games. Oh my goodness.
Oh, locum.
We won! Wait, you mean me?
Of course. Is there another locum here? Is there even one?
Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it?
What's wrong with using my actual name? Oh, at last I'm free! Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Hearty, hearty, happiness, hurrah!
Oh, I am pleased. Would it be so hard just to say that, then?
You did it! You saved me from the brink!
Well, what happened to the poor one was no way your fault, after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now.
No, not that! Lovely, locum lawyer!
Yeah?
I mean, as I said before, I've just never gotten used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. From high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Oh, look at that little hunchback.
Oh, dear. I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. You could also fix your posture. I mean, if it's really that bad that people... I mean, maybe they're being racist, but... I don't know, maybe it is that bad. He does seem like he's slouched over a lot. And that might be more disposition than anything.
But... Today you, locum lawyer, you gave my gloom the boot. You stood far behind the baronial bench for all this babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Oh, the best master ever born!"
Well, that's very flattering. We're very pleased for you.
This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan.
An anecdote? Is that what's become of all my hard work? There you are, my dear fellows. I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. He just fucking overslept the... He comes and he's like, I have figured it out. I do believe that the knife must have fell from... Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you. I see I'm not here a moment too soon. The disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. Oh? The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the very best of luck. It's just finished.
What?
No.
Then my haste was in vain? It's you, Herlock Sholmes.
Oh, have we met, sir? Who was yesterday? This is Ms. Natsume, the man you arrested, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters had taken place in the gloom, either of your big lodgings or of that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light. Charming.
This is all your fault, Herlock Sholmes.
Hadn't you also taken responsibility for parts of it just like minutes earlier?
You're all the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you peace of my mind.
My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Has she been taken to the hospital more urgently? I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness. I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now. But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human, after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. I mean, you admitted to the faults on this part before, even.
I do feel very badly about how I behaved.
Well, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted me to say, sir?
Nothing. Priceless. Oh, I'm so sorry, really, but that was quite the price. That was quite priceless. For Sasaki-san.
Everyone's here. Everyone's a fucking asshole. Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem you're not even found guilty.
but there is no bright side.
Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume?
Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirit and now by the Reaper.
Oh, right, we gotta take care of that. Ah, yeah, Lord Van Zeeks.
I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're not found guilty, you're still doomed.
It will be alright, Mr. Natsume.
Huh?
If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I will protect you.
Yeah, wait, what now?
Why? With the perfectly executed Susanna takedown.
Much as I like being turned on my head, a bit of warning might be nice next time, Mrs. Otto.
Yeah, that didn't seem to calm his nerves. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan.
Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon.
Oh,
It has already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the 2 literature professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here, and the city it has shaped. And I've come to realize that it's my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it.
that's very touching, Mr. Natsume.
Oh, and perhaps that's veiled terms. You wish to withdraw halfway around the world, skip the tower of the Reaper's curse. That's not it at all! Maybe a little bit. The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own.
Right, he is a poet, right? He was supposed to be a poet, but he's known for being an author based on what I looked up before. Oh, I see. A work of literature by Saseki-san. Ah, could be an interesting read.
And what about Miss Usato and yourself, Mr. Naoda?
Sorry, what about us? Where did we sleep last night?
We returned to Japan alongside your mustached compatriot.
Why would we? We just got here. A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. And only now does it feel as though we finally found our feet.
Ah, and you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not?
Oh, fuck. Is he gonna offer what I think he's gonna offer? Do you actually have room for more people? That's right. We need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us. I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted.
Well then, you can take my lodgings.
Oh, the windowless room.
Ah, but what it lacks in windows, it more than makes up for with the floor, ceiling, and walls.
Great.
And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit.
Oh my, an evil spirit. Yeah, what a way to be grateful to us.
Oh yes, it tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call.
Well, think about it, if that's alright.
Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me?
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought, where I thought this was going. Do you have room for another 2 people? Really?
Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. Though it is up in the attic, I might add.
Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft?
I spoke with the landlady just this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room up as we speak. Ah, you must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of.
Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to take lodgings in the Great Detective's office's attic. I'm too overcome for words. And this is certainly at a point I really can't say no.
So, suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. Then it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist. I don't know what to say, but thank you. And yes.
Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. It shan't take long. Somebody's happy. We're gonna live in an attic. Okay.
Welcome. I knew you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London.
Likewise, Mr. Natsume. It's been a privilege meeting you too. It's a shame that we're going to say goodbye so soon.
Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But Locum, we'll meet again one day.
Yes, I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer.
Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author.
So he's not successful by now, okay.
Well, my dear fellow, our couch appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, Mr. Sholmes.
I've little doubt Mr. Natsumi will be released in time for dinner this evening.
Indeed. And so, with Sasaki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home. 221 Baker Street. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I wonder how this is going to play out. Oh, this ain't bad. It has windows, multiple windows, and it's actually a room with multiple areas. It's not just like a little storage area, like an attic, like I would think of as an attic, where it's just like this place that's completely unfinished. It's like fucking shit's growing there and stuff like that. I mean, it's not exactly nice, but still. So this is to be our new office. Yes. Our office? I rather like the sound of that, actually. Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it? I hope you can see this, Kazuma. It's only a small step. But I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now.
So, my dear fellows, do you like the place?
Oh, whoa, okay. Mr. Sholmes, thank you so much. It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it.
Ah, wait till you see the spiders. Perhaps you'll adore it less then.
Attics, definitely.
Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you.
Oh, I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsumi arrives. We have a lot to celebrate. Iris, you must let me help you. All right, then. Susie, you can be in charge of the salad. Oh, splendid.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital?
It's, very exciting, actually. I can't help wondering what adventures will await us here.
Oh, this was precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is...
Sorry.
London is a glorious place full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. With the brightness of lights, that's the darkest of shadows.
Shadows? What do you mean?
Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. So, once again, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London.
Interesting. Yeah, he seems more cynical. Of course, at the time, I had no idea of the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. Welcome to London? No, I'm joking. Yeah, the part before. But it wasn't long before my turn came to lift the facade and see the true depth of murk that lay behind it. Indeed. Case end. Well, I think there's one more to go. So, yep. One more to go in this game, and then there's another game after that at some point. So, I'll leave it there. I'm still really sort of irked about that, like, tip of the blade thing. How did it fucking like, yeah, sure, technically, maybe it could stab someone just by the, like, it seems like the least believable part that it just cleanly stabs someone, right? Falling without a tip to the blade. With, like, not even a tip to the blade, like a fucking flat surface breakage. It's not like it broke the tip in a way that still left like a sharp point for it to stab someone with. It had a legitimate flat element to the blade. But if that's my biggest complaint, that's probably a fairly small complaint. I've enjoyed this a lot so far, so we'll save it, and we'll be back to this sometime in the nearish future. We'll see exactly. Again, I'm still recording things basically at my own personal leisure whenever I feel like it, so we'll leave it there for now. And we'll talk to you all again next time. Until then, drive safely, everyone.